A section of the manual discusses menu item adjustments. Let's go through them together right now. As we use the detector's touchpads, let me urge you not to be intimidated by them. The controls will do only what you tell them to do. And it's impossible to damage the detector or its circuitry by misusing the touchpads. User-friendly may have become a trite term, but it certainly describes all Garrett walkthrough detectors. Everything you do on the PDI will be reported right here on the display. So let's make certain the silver key is in the Enable position and get started. To access the administrator mode for the first time, press the Access touchpad. Whenever it is pressed, the unit will chirp and the words Enter Passcode will appear. If no attempt is made to enter a code, the unit will continue chirping for 10 seconds and return to normal operations. If anyone enters an unauthorized or incorrect code, audio will sound a tamper alarm, and Access Denied will be displayed. Remember that if you inadvertently touch this Access touchpad, no further action should be taken and the unit will return automatically to the Operate mode in about 10 seconds. Now, enter the factory preset administrator code of 5678. First to appear is volume. Use the plus and minus touchpads to select the sound level that is appropriate for your operators. Now press Access and Count is displayed to report the number of individuals who have passed through the PDI since the counter was reset. This is called the patron count. Press Access again and the alarm count will appear, which is the number of alarms that have occurred since the counter has been reset. Press Access now to learn the percentage of these alarms in relation to the number of individuals who have passed through the archway during this period of time. When you press Access again, the sequence count is displayed, indicating the number of times that attempts have been made to access the supervisor or administrator levels. To reset the patron, alarm, and percentage counters to 0, press Access again. When Reset Counters appears, press the plus pad. The sequence counter will not change. Press Access again and Tone appears. Use the plus and minus touchpads to select the tone that is appropriate for your operators. You are next given the option of turning off the pacing lights, the walk and halt symbols on the entrance side of the detector. Use the plus and minus touchpads to do this. Press Access now to regulate the pinpoint lights that identify the zone containing metal. The plus and minus touchpads are used to set the length of time these lights are displayed whenever metal is detected. Press Access again, and you have the opportunity to regulate the length of time and alarm sounds when metal is detected. Use the plus and minus touchpads to regulate this time. Press Access again, and you are given the opportunity of turning off the infrared sensor that eliminates audible alarms unless the archway is occupied. Use the plus or minus touchpads to turn the IR analysis on or off. With the infrared sensor on, the audio alarm will not sound and the pinpoint lights will not appear unless a person is within the archway. Press Access again and you can select Language. Use the plus and minus touchpads to select the one that is appropriate for your operators. Press Access again and Receiver Balance appears, indicating the balance of the receiving antenna. Any number less than 50 is acceptable. If the number is ever higher, check around the detector for large metal objects. If the unit is next to a wall, it may be necessary to move it away slightly. Press Access again, and Synchronization is next. This setting is related to multiple operation of detectors, and the factory setting of Master should normally be used. Pressing Access again brings another selection relating to multiple unit operation. The factory set option is Channel 1. You are interested in this feature only if you use more than one detector simultaneously and in close proximity. You can find information in your manual on operating multiple units. The next option is Program, which we'll discuss in more detail in a few minutes, along with the options that relate to base sensitivity, the alarm level, and your ability to change sensitivity of the various zones. Now, though, let's give our unit a test and try to smuggle a metallic object through it. Incidentally, this is an operational test piece, or OTP as it's called, from Garrett. This OTP simulates a small gun. The pinpoint lights tell us that the weapon is probably in the man's right-hand jacket pocket, certainly in that location on his body. You'll note that the man himself is carrying no other metal. Fine, this unit will detect metal. It's time now to decide just how sensitive you want your PDI to be. You probably don't want it to alarm on every coin or keyring that passes through. Yet, you expect the detector to alert you whenever weapons, contraband, or any special metallic objects are passing through it. The program section of the manual explains that your new detector is capable of many program and sensitivity combinations. Read carefully the pages in your manual that cover it. You can regulate the program and sensitivity settings. Several programs have been developed for use with the PDI to meet a variety of security needs. When you select the Airport's Enhanced program, for example, the unit detects guns, knives, and similar metallic weapons, but eliminates such innocuous items as keys, loose change, and cigarette packs. When you select Prisons, on the other hand, the unit detects all metal objects. Read the program section of the manual carefully and select the one best suited to your installation. We'll use Buildings, which is designed for general security. By pressing Access, we set this program in the detector. We also cycle to the next selection, which is Base Sensitivity. We'll first try this setting of 140 and test it. Oh, yes, make certain that bar graph fluctuations are minimal. And always check the ready light and the pacing lights to verify that power is on and the system is ready to go. First, let an individual with no metallic objects pass through the detector. Then, let him try to carry this OTP that simulates the smallest sort of target that you would never allow to pass. Base sensitivity was set too low to detect the object, so let's use the plus touchpad to increase it to 170 and try again. Let the individual walk through the unit again with the OTP in his trousers pocket. Note the location indicated by the pinpoint lights. Follow this same procedure with as many as possible of the type targets that you want to detect. Review how each of these targets responds and strike a balance in determining your final sensitivity setting. Tests should be conducted with metallic objects held at shoulder, waist, and ankle level. Carry the targets in different areas of the body and in different orientations. Note how the unit's pinpoint lights locate the targets precisely in one of 33 zones. Let your subject pass through the unit carrying such normal metallic objects as a keyring or wearing jewelry. Observe how they affect the PDI. If you think that all of this sounds a bit like trial and error, you're right. And that's the way walk-through detectors have always been calibrated. Finally, set your base sensitivity number at the lowest numerical setting that will detect all of your sought-after targets 4 times in a row in differing locations and orientations. Now, however, the PDI offers an alternative method that lets you determine a precise setting for any particular target. The OTP should first be passed through the unit by an individual carrying no other metal. Note the alarm reading number that appears on the LCD. This number is the base sensitivity level that will be necessary for the unit to sound an alarm when this particular target is carried at this location and orientation on the body. Now, press the plus touchpad to reset the indicator and test the target again several more times at different locations on the body and at different orientations. It is recommended that tests be made at several heights to determine if there are any deviations in the sensitivity level setting needed to detect this target. Always use the highest number required to detect the target as shown by the alarm reading. It is important to remember that you are always responsible for proper sensitivity and programming settings based on your particular target requirements. Next, we'll press Access and consider regulating zone sensitivity. The display will now indicate Zone 1 and will indicate the base sensitivity that you set and also zone enhancement sensitivity. Relative sensitivity can be varied from zone to zone depending upon your security requirements. We'll consider Zone 6 at the bottom to illustrate how you change its relative sensitivity from 63% less than your base sensitivity to 192% greater. This ability to increase or decrease the sensitivity of Zone 6 has proved quite helpful in locations where metal shoe shanks were creating a problem. Read your manual for more information on optimizing settings. Now we'll press Access again, and Relay is displayed to indicate status of the AC and DC relay circuits. N/O is also displayed, indicating that the circuits are in their normal open position. These relay contacts can be used to activate external security devices, such as a VCR or an electronic door lock. The next selection concerns the security of your installation with use of the silver key. 3 settings are available: On, Off, and On with key. Factory preset is with the On setting illuminated and the key lock in the Enable position, allowing all touchpads to be operational. If you feel that additional security is required for your installation to protect menu settings from tampering, you can find a description of the various security options in the Operator Enable section of your manual. Now, access codes are set at the factory, but we strongly recommend that you change the codes once your detector has been adjusted. This final administrator setting gives you that opportunity. For maximum security, the new code should be made known only to those persons who will have a need for them. Here's how you change codes. The display indicates plus to alter code 1. First, press plus as the screen indicates. Next, enter your own 4-digit code. Let's use 2367. The display asks us to repeat the code, and we will. You see, it says Code Entered OK. We've set a new access code. Press Access again. Now we'll alter code number 2, the administrator mode, which is the one we're now in. Once again, we press the plus touchpad and enter a 4-digit code. Let's use 9876. As before, the display asks us to repeat the code. Let's try to fool it with 9877 to see what happens. Uh-oh. The display tells us that an invalid entry has been made, and we must start over by again entering the correct 9876 code and repeating this code when asked. Only when Code Entered OK appears can we be certain that we have set a new access code for this mode. Make certain that only authorized personnel know the codes that will permit them to change the sensitivity settings or other adjustments on the PDI. The Installation Adjustments section of your manual provides simple instructions for reestablishing the factory preset codes if your new codes should somehow ever get lost. In addition to the administrator adjustments, which we have just reviewed, a limited number of supervisor adjustments are available. Once again, consult your manual to become familiar with them. So, there you have Garrett's new PD6500i. With its 3-dimensional circuitry that precisely locates metallic targets in 33 distinct zones. There is no finer walk-through metal detector than this anywhere in the world. But in the end, the level of security it can provide depends on the diligence of the men and women who operate it. Study your manual carefully. Make certain your unit is operating properly.
Come through, please.
And investigate all alarms. Follow these simple instructions, and the Garrett PD6500i will more than fulfill all of your expectations for a walk-through metal detector.